Are we live? We might be live. Oh, there we go. So we'll just wait for 10 to 12 seconds. Apparently 12 seconds is the time before it then goes. We're at 11, we're at 12. Hello.
Awesome.
In a very strange mood today. Welcome to this live broadcast where you will be joined with two northern birds talking about conversations that matter. I am absolutely thrilled to be doing this LinkedIn Live, Facebook Live, YouTube Live. We thought we'd go everywhere because the wonderful Amanda, oh my days, I'm drunk, oh my days. What not to do when you're interviewing somebody? Just get everything. Andrea. No, I've not been drinking. We've just been laughing.
Oh, come on, girl, pull it together.
Let's start again. Andrea Newton, the wonderful, the one, the only. So Andrea has been a member of the Curious Marketing Club for over a year now and has been talking and having conversations about launching a podcast for some time now. But today is the day where her podcast is now live. So we thought, let's do a live broadcast, let's talk about the podcast, and also just let's talk about conversations and why we need to be having more of them and being a little bit more intentional about how we approach them as well. So welcome, Andrea.
Thank you, Claire.
I could call you Andrea if I really wanted to.
Stop. You know what that does to me.
I know, just like to wind you up. Anyway, do you want to just tell our audience a little bit about the podcast?
Gosh, yeah, I'm so excited because excited is like scared, right? They feel the same. Yeah? Okay, so I must be really excited. So finally today I've dithered and I've dallied and I've delayed because my inner voice, my mean girl, kept telling me, who the hell would want to listen to you? Not good enough. What have you got to talk about? But it just felt really stupid that the woman that was always banging on about the importance of conversations didn't have a podcast, which, you know, clearly as my marketing guru would tell me, in terms of having that sort of strategy and being clear about letting people know who you are. It just it made sense that I did, but I couldn't get beyond the fear of doing. So while we were in lockdown, I drowned my mean girl in gin and locked her in the cupboard for a little while and had a little play. And so today I've put my big girl pants on and it's live and I'm very excited. Scared, yeah.
Brilliant. So if you're watching this, on the replay, please put #replay in the comments so we know that you're tuning in. Heidi, welcome. It's good to see you here in the comments. But we're curious to know, do you listen to podcasts? Let us know in the comments because it's always useful to know, because I find it took me ages to get into podcasts. Like, I really didn't like them, mainly because I'm not a big fan of the radio. I don't like that kind of random chit chat about nothing. But it did take me a while to find some really good podcasts that were very intentional, very useful, and gave you lots of sort of tips and things that you can actually use in your business, in your life, in your career. And but yes, it did take me a while. So one of the things that I really like about Andrea's podcast is it is really useful. So it's one of those podcasts where you come away with a tip every time that you listen. So it's not something that you listen to and you just think, all right, I'm just going to listen to a couple of people have a random chat. It's, going to give you something that you can take away and actually benefit from. So if you are in the, I'm not really sure about podcast camp, highly recommend just giving it a try because it is really useful. So Andrea, can you tell us a little bit about why making something really useful was important to you?
You know my backstory, Charlie. You know that I avoided a difficult conversation for years and years and years. And the avoidance of that conversation meant that I was living a really unhappy life, to the point that it got so bad, my intention was to actually end my life. And really, it's just about getting people to have the courage to say what needs to be said. I don't want anybody to ever find themselves in the situation that I was in, that through fear of having an honest conversation organisation, they were putting up with all sorts of stuff, which in the end just became too overwhelming. And the irony is, for the last 26 years, I've worked in the corporate world, helping managers to have confident conversations, and talk to them a lot about when the risks are high, when emotions run wild, when there's a consequence attached. And so I thought, you know what, actually, I need to put my big girl pants on, and I need to do my bit to really get the message out there. So whether you're a manager putting up with stuff in the workplace, or whether you're somebody like me who was putting up with a really shitty life at home, you know, it's so important that we do put our big girl pants on and have the conversations that need to be had.
And I think you hit the nail on the head there about putting up with. And in your podcast intro as well, your trailer for your podcast, which is
it's very exciting.
You talk about avoiding conversations, because I think that's the thing, isn't it? We talk a lot about having conversations and improving lines of communication, but we don't talk enough about all of the things that we're avoiding doing and all the conversations that we're avoiding having. And especially like from a personal point of view, if I look back to all of the situations in my life where I've avoided having a conversation, the things it stopped me doing, the extra worry and anxiety and all those things that happens as a result, it can all be avoided really easily by just, like you said, pull your big girl pants on and actually have that conversation.
Yeah, but equally, it's all very well and good to say, put your big girl pants on. You know, where the hell do we get the confidence from to do that? And funnily enough, that's episode 4 of the podcast. So be on the lookout for that. And actually, you know, what I also found was in the workplace, there was some amazing stats that said as many as 78% of managers would rather change jobs than have to have a difficult conversation. And, you know, in all the years that I've been working with literally thousands of different managers, every organisation I see the same strategies being used. You know, people try and brush it under the carpet, or you see the manager dipping down, doing the job rather than having a tough conversation. And you see people putting up with stuff. They roll their eyes and say, oh, it's Dave. Dave's always been like that. Take no notice. Why the hell do we need to put up with Dave if he's, you know, kind of creating a toxic atmosphere? So I think because so many people would rather chew off their own arm than, you know, have a potentially difficult conversation, I kind of got my big girl pants in a bit of a twist, if I'm honest. And so the podcast is a kind of combination of educational, let me help you, let me encourage you how to, and also a bit of a rant about some of the subjects that I do think we sweep under the carpet. And I was saying to you that I'm hoping to have some awesome guests with some really sensitive stuff to talk about, because, you know, half the problems we've got in this world are because people don't sit down, eyeball to eyeball, kneecap to kneecap, and have a conversation that matters.
And how do you think that's been affected with the virtual world?
I think it's actually, in a lot of ways, it's made it easier for people to avoid, because I'm not in the same room as you, and I can probably hold a face for, you know, long enough that we're on maybe a Zoom or a Teams meeting. But what I do find is we're not so good at suppressing it for a long time physically. So I call it emotional leakage. You know, that point where you get so frustrated with somebody that it actually starts to show through the way you behave towards them, even if you're not saying what needs to be said. Your demeanor, your body language, just you become tunnel visioned about, oh, bloody hell, it's him again, you know? Yeah. So it's kind of, I think in the virtual world, I think we've actually, it's done us a bit of a favor. We've been able to kind of hide behind it. So...
yeah, and we're going to see lots of different things as everybody comes back into the workplace.
Yeah.
I mean, even like I work from home, I work on my own the majority of the time, unless I'm training people or doing sort of strategic work. And like last week, I had my first face-to-face training event on the year's hottest day in a room with no aircon.
Nice.
Yay! But it was amazing. It was just so nice to like be able to feed off the energy of other people and be able to sort of work with the body language of others. And then yesterday I had a full day strategy session with a human being, not a virtual face. And it does make such a difference. It does make such a difference, because there are things that your body language says that your face doesn't or can't. So it's really interesting. And it's like Andrea is the person that you want to talk to about having confident conversations. And you have, if I remember rightly, it's 7
7 significant conversations. Yeah, I actually think, you know, and what you're saying there about going back to the workplace, I think the transition that we're going through, you know, lots of people like you are saying, oh, to be in the room, to have that energy, but there are lots of other people who are anxious about that whole return, you know, for all sorts of reasons, and people's personal circumstances have changed a lot over the last 12 months in so many ways that, you know, the people going back to the workplace are perhaps not the same people that left there 12 months ago. So those 7 significant conversations, I think at the moment, are especially important. You know, you're going to have to be confident enough to give people direction. We're going to have to do some coaching because people's skills will perhaps have got a little bit rusty. We're going to have some challenging conversations. You know, one of my clients said to me, they've had people that have gone back that it's clear that they've been, if you like, marching to a slower drum for the last 12 months because they can't get them to kind of pick up the speed and work at the pace that they were. And they've even had people who are refusing to return. So that's led to some challenging conversations. And, you know, let's never forget the sort of, you know, the other end of that spectrum. We know that during the pandemic, there was as much as a 74% increase in stress and anxiety and depression. People don't just step out of that just because Boris says, take your mask off and, you know, go back to work. So we also need to be on the lookout for people's well-being as they're returning. So I think those significant conversations, if your managers aren't able to have them, then bringing people back safely and successfully and in a way that gets sustainable engagement is going to be compromised.
So yeah. So podcast listeners are going to learn a lot more about the 7 significant conversations. So you've mentioned a couple of them just now. Do you want to just run through the 7 so everybody can understand what to expect?
Okay, so the confident conversations is really, you know, when people first get promoted into team leader roles and they're making that transition from mate to manager. And to begin with, their leadership style relies on, can you do me a favour, mate? And actually that doesn't kind of last in the long run. So it really starts there from developing the confidence, then being able to have caring conversations, but not in a way that you become their mother or their social worker. You know, it's not about that. It's about caring for them as a human being, because at the end of the day, we bring ourselves to work with us. There's the coaching that I mentioned. There's the challenging conversations. And that isn't just challenging with your team. You might have to manage upwards. You might have to have a difficult conversation with your boss or with a supplier or with a contractor. How do you do that and maintain a positive working relationship? So, you know, that's the whole challenging. Then the crucial conversations, performance, attendance, conduct, disciplinaries. And then the last 2 are, as I say, to do more so with the mental health and well-being. And they are crisis and critical conversations. You know that I'm a tutor in suicide intervention skills. So I work right across the spectrum in terms of helping organisations really create a climate that whatever the issue is, there's a platform, there's somebody that they can talk to. So yeah, so those are the significant 7. I think they ought to wear sombreros. I'll perhaps get that Dee Woodward woman working on that one, and they can. I'll have some sombreros in my branding. I don't think she'll like that.
I'm just going to say with that, like, proceed with caution. So for anybody watching this, right, Andrea and I work with the same graphic designing wizard woman, which is Dee Woodward, who is in the comments that you can see, and I'm going to give you a little insight into what to expect with my branding, because I've rebranded recently. So if you go to my website and you haven't seen it recently, it's all new and shiny with all new branding and everything. It's gorgeous. I was talking to Dee about wanting to customize some otters. So for anybody that's listened to me, I talk about otters quite a lot. Andrea found some very cute little gift cards and sent them to me in the post the other day, which was amazing. So I was just having a chat with Dee about these otters, and as a result, I will have some very adorable custom otter illustrations to highlight certain points. So Andrea, if you do want sombreros or if you do want custom characters, you know, that is a slippery slope. So Dee will be getting very excited here, I'm sure.
Oh, she loves a little colouring in, I find. She's like the expert ninja level at colouring in. I mean, have you seen the mugs? The mugs are just, look, I don't know if you can see it, really useful conversations. How cool is she? And this is, oh, hang on, this camera's all a bit weird, Charlie. You didn't tell me about this. I need to lean that way. There we go. All I need is caffeine and my big girl pants. How amazing.
So if somebody wanted one of these mugs, Andrea, how could somebody get one?
How good of you to ask. So we're running a competition because, as I said, I was really scared about doing the whole launch, and so I wanted to wrap it up in something that was a bit of fun, that takes away a little bit of the be a grown-up element of it. So we've got a competition running, and you can win a mug. You could win wireless earbuds. They're rather cool. I'm hoping nobody wins them because I'd really like them for my podcast listening. And I've also put together, especially for the launch, an ebook that takes people through the successful stepping stones to conversations. So in her infinite wisdom, Mrs. Woodward has packaged it all together and made it look fabulous. And we've got a competition to win some swag. And all you got to do really is listen to the podcast and share it with your mates and tell us that you did that. So it's really rather awesome. But the stuff's fab. I love it. I just want to keep stroking it. But there we go. Yeah.
Well, just to kind of wrap up, this is the very definition of making marketing fun. Okay, yeah. You might realize that, you know, it's like Andrea is not a marketer. You know, Andrea is amazing at what she does, but she's not a marketer. But she has embraced the fun that can come with marketing. And one of the things that I always say is the more fun you can have in your own marketing, the more fun and the more excited your audience and your ideal customers will be at the prospect of working with you. So don't be afraid to sort of like, you know, let your hair down and, you know, kind of really understand what do you love the most about what it is that you're doing and what you're helping people with, and how can you package that up into something that you can launch out into the world and you can share with everybody. And, you know, I just think that, I mean, I've been working with Andrea for quite a while now, and this really has been a labour of love. She's put so much time and energy into this, and it really is fantastic. It's not one of those that I'm just saying, oh, it's great, go and listen to it, but it really is useful. So I just wanted to do this live and to share it with you all here today. So the link is here. Go check it out. Go enter the competition if you'd like one of the fabulous mugs. And yeah, just let Andrea know what you think as well, because I know that like I have my own podcast, and it's always really useful when listeners come to you and tell you what they love about the podcast, like what they have found useful, because it's all well and good us giving you lots of information, but the more feedback you can give us about what you enjoy, what you want to see more of, what you want to, you know, hear more about, then that always helps us evolve and grow as well. So
yeah. But be kind, please be kind. And if you don't know how to give feedback like a grown-up, you need to do one of my online courses so that you learn the art of feedback. But no, seriously, I think episode 3 is the best one. Isn't it mad? You kind of, you sort of do this big noise and a big launch in episode 1, and everybody said to me right from the start that actually your first one won't be your best one. I was like, I'm not going to be living with that. And I have re-recorded it several times, I must admit. And it's killing the perfectionist in me today, going, oh, that could have been even better. But you know what I've learned, Charlie, that I do think is part of this making marketing fun. Sometimes you've just got to run with it and just see where it goes, because otherwise, how the hell do you learn how to do things better, you know? So thank you for all the encouragement you've given me, because, you know, you really have been a star on days when I've hated that marketing shizzle. So thank you for that. And let's see how today goes.
Very exciting. Well, thank you so much for joining me, and for everybody watching, thank you so much for watching us. If you've watched the replay, just let us know what you think. Put hashtag replay. Dee is in the crowd talking about branding.
Oh, is she there? Oh my God, I'll get told off after. I probably didn't say the right thing or give you the right link or show you the right colours. Oh, for heaven's sake. I'm probably not dressed properly. Oh, Dee, I'll be in bother.
You're all good. And also for anybody watching this who's wanting to know more about Dee, Dee and I are going to do a live broadcast in the next few weeks to talk about like, it's all about me. Obviously, it's the worst marketing advice you can ever give. Never make it all about you. We're going to be talking about my new branding and also new website, but we're going to do it in a way that shares like why we have done the things that we've done. So like, why have we done things in these colors? Why have we designed the website in such a way? Why does this sort of flow in this way? Because then you can also take these learnings and apply these in your own marketing as well. So again, our goal is always to be really useful and to give you things that you can take away, and that is exactly what we've aimed to do today with Andrea. So go and check out the podcast. So Andrea, like, where can you download?
Okay, so the Really Useful Conversations podcast, you can get it on Apple, you can get it on Spotify, you can get it on anywhere fabulous. But if you follow the link that Charlie's put there, you'll also find it on that page too. So if you go to the website, you can enter the competition, you can win a fab mug, you can download the episodes, and you can also give me some feedback, because seriously, I am keen to hear, because if I'm going to do this, I want this to be good. So I do need to hear back from people if there's things that we need to do differently. So yeah, cool.
Brilliant. So always focus, progress, not perfection. Get it out there.
I know.
Be brilliant. Have that confidence. And yeah, have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, lovely.